All right. Good morning, everybody. Well, let's continue our conversation this week regarding prospecting, right? So today we're more specifically going to focus on COIs, right? Sphere of influence, circle of influence, basically people we know, right? So as I said, there's two groups of people we know, right? People we do know, and people we don't know, right? So again, which group is larger? It's typically the don't know, right? So that's why yesterday we talked about door knocking or face-to-face marketing, and then today we're going to be talking about, the COIs, your sphere of influence, people you do know, right? And then tomorrow we're going to talk about open houses. And then on Friday, we're going to discuss, creating a lead follow-up system for them. Because the key is we meet people, we prospect. 90% of the time, 90% of the people we talk to, they don't not thinking about buying or selling. So what do we do with them? You can forget about them or put them in some sort of drip campaign or some sort of a reminder system for you to call them, to send a newsletter, or at least for them to remember you. So yesterday we said that every time you meet somebody, we will send a thank you card. It was a pleasure to meet you type of card, right? Okay, so we'll give you more samples on that on Friday. But bottom line is, I need you guys to know or to find out what are your challenges with regards to door knocking from yesterday, and then today contacting people. Yesterday, we had homework, right? I wanted you guys to set up your free account at tpmco.com, right? Okay, the personal marketing company. How many of you guys actually did that or have done it? Set up your free account. Let me give props to people who have done it. And if you haven't, right, let me share it with you. The website you need to be going to. So, okay, you guys should have this as part of the email I sent you guys, right? That you guys see database 32 touch point system, right? So at the very least, right? Zoom World, you guys should be doing this, right? You guys see this, right? Zoom World, the 32 touch point system. So at Intero, we give you guys a system already. You got to be calling everybody at least 4 times a year, right? Okay. You have the access through your MIT to email at least 12 times a year, if not 24 times. Now we only say 12 times because we want you guys to direct mail at least 12 times a year, right? Not just listed just sold, but at least some sort of newsletter. Okay? And with your newsletter, you can send it by mail, right? It costs about $1 a piece, depending on your volume, or you can lessen that by doing postcards because postcards typically are cheaper to do. And then at least you should be doing some sort of text at least 6 times a year, right? And then about a dozen social media engagement. Now, this is part of our 32 touch points. If you count all that, that's more than 32. You have to figure out which of these things you can do, right? So, Zoom World, any questions on these on the system, the 32 touch points? So, basically, at least 24 times a year, you need to be touching your clients. Touching meaning, not physically touching, but at least seeing, calling, they're seeing you by mail or email, by text, right? So, any questions on that? Zoom World? Okay. Now, on number 8 here, tpmco.com, right? Let me go to that website, tpmco.com. Zoom World, I'm assuming you guys are still there, right? Okay. So if you're here live with us, right? If you look at this on our screen, right? Okay. Who here has a newsletter that they're using? Anyone? Okay. Why not? How come? Honestly, how come you don't have a newsletter yet, right? I've been talking to you guys about having a newsletter, right? Why? Okay. Anyone? Number one, it's probably either you don't believe in it, okay? Number two, you don't think you have the budget for it, right? Which again, or you're paralyzed, right? So Zoom World, one of those is your answer? Let me see who's on Zoom World, right? So what's the reason why those people who don't have a newsletter, you're not sending it out yet? All of the above. Thank you, Kristen. Right? Yeah. again, it's one of those reasons, right? Some people, it's kind of like this, right? Like I've always said, I want to get more fit, right? So my wife, like almost on a weekly basis, like, hey, Greg, how's that going, right? Or hey, you know, she does something encouraging, right, to remind me. So again, there's different reasons. We all have our own reasons, right? Also called excuses, right? So here's the thing: if you wanna, you know, get more business, you got to do more of the things that we're asking you guys to do, right? Don't be paralyzed, right? Sometimes we get paralyzed for different reasons, right? Either through analysis or it's like there's so much, right? Which one should I do? And that's where we ask you to sit down with one of your leadership team and create some sort of accountability or put a plan together. And we ask you to take three to five things of our tech tools or of the whatever we're telling you guys to do and start to master those first, right? Don't master everything. You're not going to be, right? Get a little bit of something and then master that, then move on to, and then you can do more, right? So initially, we tell you guys the best way to prospect is make a list of people you know, right? That's what we're doing today, right? COIs. We want you guys to make a list of people you know. Write down their names, address, phone number, and email, right? And put it where? In Rev, right? In some sort of CRM. Put it in Outlook, right? Get the people you know. Start there first. That's what we call your A clients, right? We're going to eventually make them triple A clients, right? Initially, they're just A clients. Zoom World, you guys can hear me still, right? I'm hoping, right? If for some reason my lips are moving and you guys can't hear me, make sure you know, raise your hand. So again, it's what are we doing, right? Because if we're not doing something every day, right? We're not talking to people every day, then what are we doing? Because every day we need to be finding buyers and sellers, right? We need to set up appointments. So I always tell you guys before you spend any money, check with me, right? Okay, because I pretty much have done everything that's out there, and I know what typically works, what has worked for me, what works for some people, right? Like some people say, "Well, should I buy Zillow leads?" Right? I know people that has worked. I know for some people it didn't work, and I'll give you my opinion on it, and then we can discuss it. Because just because it didn't work for me or for somebody else doesn't mean it's not going to work for you, and vice versa. Just because it worked for somebody doesn't mean it's going to work with you, right? So again, just remember, we can try things out, we can have a discussion and see until we put it together or put it to work. We won't know if it's going to work for you, right? So with COIs, so that's one of your first homework is to make a list of them. So if I wanted to throw you a party, right, for your next birthday, and I say, give me everyone you know, names, address, phone numbers, emails. Can you give that to me? If you can't, that's your first step, right? And for me, when I started, who were those? My friends, like they're all going to college, right? Or they just they just graduate. So again, but I knew they weren't going by soon, right? So now I said, okay, what are your mom and dad's names again? Right? I got their address, right? Again, what's their number, right? Back then, it's the house number because we didn't have cell numbers, right? Back in 91, we didn't have email yet, right? So it was easier, just name and address and house number, right? So again, start your database system, okay? Now, what do you do with it? Once you have it in Rev or some sort of CRM, Outlook, your phone, somewhere in there, now we need to start to market to them. You want to get more referrals? They need to know number one, you're in real estate, right? So let's see. So here in the live world here in Fremont, you guys have the 32 touch point, right? Um, right. So if you're not on your live, right? Let me do my share. Okay. So Zoom World, you guys should see the 32 touch point, yes, on your screen. Okay. For personal calls, everyone you know, should get at least 4 phone calls, right? If you have their phone number, you need to call them at least quarterly. What do you say? We'll talk about that, okay, on Friday, right? And also today. At least 12 emails. Give your once it's on Rev, the girls, your MIT, can help you send 12 emails a year, monthly, right? And if you don't have the budget to do a monthly mailer yet through the personal marketing company, have them send an email twice a month. Now, what do you send? One month, one of the emails should be some sort of market research. The other, it's got to be something more informative, right? But not to where it's real estate specific, but yet it's services you can offer. Like yesterday we talked about door knocking materials, right? There's usually two topics I try to have in my messaging: ask me or thinking about. So ask me about how to sell your house for top dollar. Ask me for the top 10 remodeling tips, right? Ask me for something. Ask me how to lower your property taxes. Ask me about this, right? So that's the messaging. Or it's thinking about putting an ADU, thinking about remodeling. Ask me, right? So pick one of those and then put that in a flyer format. Just add the words, and from there, once you have the topic, the headline, now you can create some body in there, right? You know, ask me about if you're going to say ask me about the top 10 tips, right? And then you can't list them because you want them to, or you can list like the top three and then ask me for the list, right? Text me at this number or email me, right? So there has to be a call to action. So here's the key to making a good flyer: create a headline, have a couple bullet points, and have a call to action, right? Thinking about buying your first home, ask me how to get $7,500 towards your closing costs. And then, benefits of, maybe you could put benefits of owning a house, right? Tax deductions, appreciation, right? Things like that, right? Get 3 bullet points. Okay. And then call to action. Call me to get pre-approved for a new loan and how to get $7,500 towards your closing costs, right? We all know about the PNC program, right? If you've been attending our meetings, and then share that. Now, you have to create the flyer, right? We shared you guys, some flyer ideas yesterday, right? I don't know, Zoom World, you guys can see this, right? Um, Let me see. Zoom World. Did I lose you guys? Okay.
Oh, yeah,
Um,
yeah, great. Yeah, yeah.
you're still there? Okay, perfect. Okay. So again, just remember there's 32 touch points. Okay. So tpmco.com, right, is a newsletter, a company that I've been using, right? And I'll show you guys what that website looks like. So if you guys can, right? And this is something that's going to be mandatory if you want me to continue to coach you in April for the selling skills workshop. You got to do everything I do, right? Everything I tell you to do, because that's what this class is for, right? It's not a sit and listen, it's a sit and do, right? Because if you have not set up your deep personal marketing company free account yet, Deborah, right? You have one that just closed, right? Perfect time. If Deborah hasn't set it up yet, if you're in Union City, right? This is already done for you. Every closing in Union City, you do the client follow up, right? So basically, what that means is for each agent will pay $48, right, at closing. For the next 5 years, 4 times a year, the client receives something, some sort of marketing piece sent by the personal marketing company already. That's the best
I'm
time
set up
to.
for it.
Yeah, I know. So now all Deborah needs to do now that her account is set up um, you know, is just to input a client's name and the address. Now she has a listing, right? Why she should do this? Because the client may stay local. What if the client goes to New York? Still set them up, right? And then the second thing what Deborah should do is now do it for the buyer. Why would she do it for the buyer? Right? Well, because most likely, Deborah, in the next 5 years, the agent who's doing on the other side will probably not be in the business anymore. And I'm thinking Deborah will still be in real estate. Therefore, she's gonna adopt that client. Make sense, Deborah? What do you think? Do you think that agent's going to be in the business 5 years from now?
Possibly not.
Yeah, most likely not. 80%, okay, to 90% of the people leave the business or not is no longer in real estate in 5 years. Half of them leave the first year. Okay, you heard about the 1%, right? I'm in the 1% now. We're 30 years. You're in the less than 1%, right? Because when I look around, like, wow, right? There's always new. I mean, again, this is where I understand all my listings has been, or yeah, in the except for if it's a repeat client now, was someone else's client, right? The two listings I took, in January was someone else's client a couple years ago. One was like 3 years ago, right? It's because when I prospect, right, I find out, hey, by the way, do you now know a realtor that you can call anytime if you have real estate questions, right? Most of them will say, oh yeah, I have a realtor, and I say, oh, by the way, who's that? I don't remember his name, right? It's because every month they're not sending something. And this is where some of you guys, and some I know at least a dozen agents, over a dozen agents who have door knocked or spoken to my clients. Okay. And I challenge them, convert one of them, please let me know. Okay. Because if you can convert any of my clients, that means I haven't done a good enough job reminding or telling my past clients, hey, whenever you think about selling, think Greg, right? Right? Because I want them to say, hey, oh yeah, I have a realtor. His name's Greg. Yeah, yeah, you must work with Greg at Intero. Yeah, Union City, Fremont. Yeah, Pleasanton. They know, right? That's what you want them to have that knowledge. I own the real estate mind, right? It's just like if I say, name me a soda, right? You guys will say what? Zoom world. We would say what? Name me a soda. Huh?
Okay.
Coca-Cola, right? So Coca-Cola owns your brain. Someone said Pepsi. Yeah, Pepsi owns your brain, right? Like name a shoe company. Why do you think Nike pays billions of dollars to market when they're already earning billions and billions, right? It's because if they don't do it, somebody else is, right? You guys know what's the newest shoe company out there? You know,
On.
it's two letters.
On.
It's an
There
I,
is.
right? I forget what it is, right? It's like I O
ON.
not
ON.
basic.
ON is the new company from Switzerland.
Physics.
It's a Swiss company. ON.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
a.
Yeah. So again, there are new companies coming into the market, just like there are new realtors. Why do you think some of our realtors have done 15, 25 deals their first year? It's because they've done the basics, they've talked to people, and then they deliver on that service. They become good agents and great agents, right? A great agent is not born. Can we agree? A great agent is made, right? Very few are born. Even you guys know LeBron James, right? A basketball player, Steph Curry, right? You guys know them, right? They were not born great shooters, great basketball players. They may have some people God-given talent, maybe you can say that, but they were made to become that. They had the drive to become great. Somewhere they got that. And for agents, this is where I challenge you guys to do the 5 pillars of happiness. Figure out what makes you tick, what gets you excited. Because without that, you're not going to create the schedule. You're not going to, continue to focus on your goals and keep doing what you need to be doing every day. Right? Because question?
Yeah, Greg, a question about TPMC only. Sorry. Uh, it's so basically if I have a buyer or a seller, they might be in different zip codes or different cities or something like that. So does that the email newsletter which goes to them is kind of very specific to their neighborhood?
Not with the personal marketing company. With the one that the company does, right? It will
Yeah.
be personalized to the city that they belong to because those are
Okay.
city specific stats, like the market stats and all that. Okay. This newsletter. Okay. So if you look at, you guys see TPMCO on the screen here. But not. Let me see. I have, okay. Anyways, on TPMCO, there's two products I recommend, right? One is the automated client follow-up. That's the $48 one for 5 years, right? And this is why I tell you guys, set up your free account already. So if you're in my class today, I want you guys to set up your free account, right? Upload your photo. It doesn't cost you anything. Get their free samples. Okay. So you can see what I'm talking about. So this is every closing I've ever done since 1991. This used to be just 12.50. And then it became 18 and then 25. And then last year it became $48. That was a big jump. So they've been losing money on it, I think. But now, it's $48. So I think they're pricing this for the future. It's not just today, right? Because that was a big jump from 25 to 48. Okay. So $48 one time at closing, right? They get 21 mailings. That's basically 4 times a year for 5 years, right? About 2 months before it expires, right? You'll get a notification. Do you want to renew it? Right? And then they just bill me, right? That's your opportunity to um to change or anything. Again, you pay this upfront. Okay, so $48 one time. So that's like how much per mailing? That's about $2. Is that $2? $8? Yeah, it's about $2 now, right? 2 times 21. Yeah, it's about $2. So they really increased the price. It was under a dollar for a while, right? Or a dollar something. Yeah, $25 was cheap. Now it's $48. That's still cheap. In our price point, that's inexpensive, right? Who would pay that? I suggest everybody, right? Because you set it and forget it. So now you paid the $48 at closing. That's why we made it mandatory in Union City, or not mandatory, but it's set up in Union City. If you're in Union City, it's already set up because that's what we did years ago to where it was a no-brainer. Okay. Um, but you can set it up yourself. Okay. So Deborah, right, since you have your own account, all you gotta do is input your client's information. So Deborah, input your seller and your buyer in this and pay the $96, right? And now it's set up. Now what I also do, okay, is I do this automated newsletter campaign. Okay, so this newsletter, there's some samples here if you're here live, right? Okay, this is the newsletter, Zoom World. I use two newsletters. Okay, Insights on Real Estate. Okay, here it is, Insights in Real Estate, and Money Talk. Okay. If you look at the articles that's in there, and again, get your free samples as it shows up here. Look at what it is. If you like homeowner update because it has some recipes or something, go check that out. Now, here's the power of this, guys. Let's say this month I want to do money talk. Next month I can do insights. All I do is click a couple buttons. That your database is in there. Okay, you input your information in there. If you have like 200 names, because that's where you are, you can download to a CSV, and they'll upload it for you one time. Okay. So any more questions on TPMCO?
Yes, but Greg, there will be charges for this one too, right? For the
Yes, this
newsletters.
one costs, right? So the printed newsletter cost me about 73, 76 cents, depending on the volume that I have. Okay.
Okay.
So like I said, check it out, right? If you're not doing this, if you're not checking something out, right? Then how are you growing, right? Okay. I get tips on how to lose weight all the time. Greg, have you tried this? Greg, have you tried this? Right? Okay. Again, I check it out and I go, okay, it's not for me, but it's working for them. Great. Like my wife always says, take these vitamins, take this, right? I'm not into that, right? Um, it probably has, maybe I'm messing up. I don't know. But, I don't like taking medicines or even supplements. My doctor tells me to take supplements. I don't. I said, I'll eat my supplements. Right. So, you need more vitamin C. Don't take a pill. Eat more oranges, right? Things like that. Of course, watch your diet. Okay, very important. Eh, So again, the newsletter to me is how I get all my referrals. Okay, because when let's say I call Teresa today. Hey, Teresa, this is Greg, your favorite realtor. That's my opening line to all my clients. Okay, I say, hey, how are you doing? How's the family? Because remember, all your calls should start out personal. All right, personal, social, then business. Okay, because if I'm calling Vikas all the time about real estate, he's gonna start to avoid me and sending me to voicemail. I can't talk right now, right? And never get a call back. Okay, this is what I do. Okay, remember Ford, FORD, friends and family, occupation, recreation, and dreams. You need to get people's Ford. Okay, I need to know: are they married, single, how many kids, what are their kids' names? How old the kids are, their birthdays eventually, because eventually I'm gonna say, hey, how's Sam doing? I hear, as far as I know, he's probably going to college sometime next year, right? Hey, we have some access to free money, a scholarship through our realtor board realtor board. I was wondering if he would be interested in receiving free money. Yes or no? Yes. Great. Have him call me, or what's his email? Well, let me send him the information, right? This is how you can get information because we have the Bay East Foundation. They do give away money for $5,000. I think right now. It used to be for you have to take a real estate specific degree. Now it's any degree because no one's applying for it. So find out about that. Call your Bay East. If you're a member of Bay East, find out how to get the Bay East scholarship, right? And if you can't find the information, call me because it's pretty easy to find. It's on the Bay East website. Okay, and all they do is create an essay. Get $5,000. They gave away two last year. Why not, right? So again, there's something. Or maybe this might be a couple years for Logan. I gave away 500 or $1,000, right? All they have to do is is talk about real estate, and they create an essay, and then we picked it out. Okay, we usually give out at least three, if not five of them, right? Again, this is your own foundation, right? Okay, so you can create different things to market. Okay. So now with clients, right? So when I call them, it's like, hey, how are you? How's the family? Hey, by the way, any new additions, right? And nowadays, because of Facebook, what's going on in their lives, right? Right? You know what's happening with them, right? Okay, because everybody posts except me, right? Or typically, right? But my wife does, and then people ask about me. Hey, how was that trip, Greg? Right? Because it's all interconnected, right? So you ask them, hey, how was that snow strip in Lake Tahoe, right? But instead of, you know, asking them about what I saw on Facebook, right? I usually say, hey, so what did you guys do this past winter? Hey, what are you guys planning this summer? Hey, how are the kids doing? Hey, who's graduating this year? Sometimes is what I ask, right? And I know already who's graduating because of Facebook, right? Now, where do I have that information? Up here? No, in your
Yes.
database on your phone, right? And I use Top Producer. Okay, I direct. If you guys want to spend more money, well, I don't teach you that. You can use Rev to do this. You can use Outlook to do this. You just have to trick system, put it somewhere in there, right? Um, so again, you got to have this information somewhere. Okay, so that way when I call, hey Kristen, how are you? Hey, how's the hubby? Right? Hey, what do you guys plan for this summer? Hey, I isn't your anniversary coming up, Carlos? What are you doing with the wife, this year, right? What's the theme? I mean, sometimes it's that. It's I'm helping my guy clients, friends about, hey, reminding them about, hey, anniversary is coming up. Now, how do I remember these dates? Right? In Top Producer, there's a button called Next Call Date. Okay. So after I talk to Carlos today, I need to put there my notes and then when I'm going to call them again. Now he's getting monthly email, he's getting a monthly newsletter, right? And if he was a past client, he's getting a quarterly newsletter. These are all different, so he's getting something, right? So now when my turn on my computer, it says you got 10 calls to make. These are the people. Then I have to do something with them. Okay. So that's how I am reminded of what to do. Like today, I went to see my sister, to clean my teeth, right? Um, so who's there, right? Besides her, I met, the dentist who owns the practice, right? My sister is a hygienist. I met the two staff member and one of the other assistant. And I say, hey, how are you? Oh, we haven't met before, right? What is your name again? Or what's your names, right? So I got to meet the new staff members because they weren't there, 6 months ago. Part of my treatment was I asked my sister, okay, so this is part of our consultation, right? She has pre-qualifying questions. Are you taking any medication, any pain, right? and things like that, right? Just like with you, hey, where are you guys moving to? How soon do you have to be there, right? Who else are you talking to, right? Then when we're done, so Greg, here are my recommendations. Make sure you brush, that's this and that, right? And then he says, okay, so let's set up your next appointment. That's your next call date, right? It's like the same thing with my doctor. Hey, I need to see you in 3 months. Let's do these tests, right? As realtors, that's what we got to do, right? But we have to use technology to systemize things. So if you don't have a database and then a way to remind you to call them, right?
Pressure
Then
lock this
you're
one,
going to lose
okay?
out on future business. Okay, Aprana? Question, Aprana, or was that for somebody else? Okay, all right. So anybody have any questions on your CRM, your database, or what to do with them? Okay. So on Friday, I'll teach you guys, some ideas on, the timing, right? But at the very least, everyone you have a phone number for, quarterly calls, monthly mailers, monthly emails, minimum. You text them. Okay, what's happening this weekend, guys? What's happening this weekend? We talked about this yesterday.
Daylight
Hey,
savings.
they
Daylight savings, right? Okay, talk to your MIT. You can create a daylight savings flyer. Okay. Now, that's just probably half or a whole page. You got to have something else on the back, right? So you got to have other marketing stuff like, hey, ask me, you know. So, okay. So on front of the flyer, right? Typically, what you can do is say, just a reminder, it's daylight savings time. It's time to string forward, right? And they'll have a picture, right? Maybe you add in there like how did daylight savings? What's the history of daylight savings, right? You know, what's today if you're Catholic? Anyone
Ash
Catholic on the
Day,
call? Huh?
Ash Day,
Wednesday.
Yeah, Ash
Ash
Wednesday.
Wednesday.
Ash Wednesday, not just Ash Day. It's Ash Wednesdays. It only happens on Wednesday, right? It's Ash Wednesday, right? Which just starts the Lent season, right? For us. Okay. Now there are other religious stuff, that's out there. How do I know which of my clients are Catholics? Because at some point I asked them or I found out, and now it's on my database, right? So today I looked up, Catholic. I just put, Catholic on my database, and over 300 names showed up. Okay. Now what I do, I go through that list and I see if, I can text them, hey, which mass are you going to, right? Things like that, right? Just a reminder, it's Ash Wednesday. So what are some of the rules for Ash Wednesday, right? Figure that out, right? You guys are in different, religion or different groups, right? Figure it out. It doesn't have to be religious groups, right? Like if you guys like, for instance, if you're basketball fans, right? All-Star Weekend was here at Chase Center, right? So all my Warriors fans, right? I just put Warrior fan, right? I just put Warriors, and then names pop up, right? Because you need to have all your fields to be searchable. That's the power of a database, right? Like if you went to San Jose State College or UC Berkeley, just put Berkeley or UC Berkeley, right? And see what pops up. And then you make your call about that, right? So this week is just like, hey, just want to remind you, of course, before you get into daylight savings, it's like, hey, how are you? How's the family, right? What are you guys up to, right? Chit chat smartly, right? And then eventually it's like, hey, so just a reminder, hey, do you know what this weekend is? Just like I asked you guys. And they tell me. And then from there, we build a conversation. We're looking for engagement, right? And again, this is 30 seconds to a minute, maybe 2 minutes. This is not a 5 minute conversation. If it sounds like it's going long, hey, I don't want to take up, I usually try to cut them by saying, hey, I don't want to take up any more of your time. So why don't you call me and let me know when you're available for coffee next week? Let's catch up. Let's have lunch next week. That's how I typically try to end the conversation if it's getting too long. If they have a lot of stuff to share, I have clients I like to talk, ladies, right? And I just say, hey, why don't you find out, when you and Eugenio are available for lunch? Let's have lunch together, right? I tell the wife, talk to the husband, or vice versa. Let's grab lunch, right? Hey, by the way, I'm gonna be in Newark next week. When can I stop by and check out, see what you've done to the house? Right? I do pop buys. That's another one, right? Every one of my clients get a yearly visit from me, at least a invitation, either me inviting myself or they're going to invite me, right? Because I asked them, so what have you guys been up to? Any new thing going on in the house, right? I asked them, hey, by the way, I'm going to be in the neighborhood. I'm going to be in Sacramento next week. You know, now I don't go out of my way to go to Sacramento, right? But if I'm going to be close enough, if I'm Davis or something, or going to Lake Tahoe, I'll try to stop by and see my clients in Sacramento, right? And see, and to me, the best thing is to invite them for coffee, or if they like certain things, and see if they're available. And if not, at least I made the invite. That's the key, right? They're important to me, so I try to connect, right? And see, guys, we're talking about clients right now. Remember, we have relatives that we still like, family members we still like. Reach out to them, mom and dad, because I challenge some people about this, right? Especially my close friends. Like, how often do you see your mom and dad? And they live like in the same city. I mean, if I was me, I would see him like almost every day. You know, I'm there for dinner, especially when I was single, right? I mean, it's how often do you see people that matters to you? Your clients are important, right? What about your relatives, right? How often do you see them? Only in Christmas party or when there's a funeral? I mean, what is it, right? How often do we see people that are important to us? Not just relatives, but our clients specifically, right? Okay. How often do you see your broker, your manager, right? In the office, right? Are we just on Zoom world all now, right? How often do you go to the office? Say hello to your MITs, right? Just say hello, right? How often do you bring them, Starbucks or something, right? Again, guys, figure it out. There's a lot of things that we can show how we care to people, right? So to get more referrals, you just got to make more contacts. And then from there, what do you say? See, if you automate the mailers, it's easy. Now, the four calls every year, the semi, bi-monthly, every 2 months text, every 45-day text. What are you texting them about? Text them about, hey, just a reminder, move, spring forward this weekend, move your clock forward Saturday night. That's it, Greg. That's it, right? Because they already have my phone number on their phone, right? So they know who it is from usually. If not, at least 2 to 4 times a year, I will include my name on the text. Full name, Greg Nasol, Interior Real Estate, 510-475-7500. That's part of your signature line, okay? Because maybe they lost your number, right? They got a new phone, right? Something like that. And again, because it's technology, we see the text string, right, of who's responding to us. Yeah, okay. We're looking for engagement, but we're not trying to have a long conversation via text. If it's starting to get long, hey, let's catch up. Let's grab coffee. When are you available? Maybe next month. Call me. Now, if they don't call
Greg,
me and I feel it's important, I will call them to set up that coffee. Text them again, right?
Greg, I have a question
Yeah.
for you.
Yes, Aparna.
Like, as you said, like for the spring forward, like I have like not too many people in my database. So should I send them just an email or send them a text or both? What do you think?
To
What do you
me,
suggest?
I text
Yeah.
is the best, right?
Okay.
But if you can't text everybody, then I would email. And to
Okay.
me, print is better than email, right? But some people they look at every single email. I don't. Okay.
Okay.
So that's why I tell people if you're gonna email me something, make sure you text me to remind me to check my email so I can look for it. Because sometimes email don't get through, right? Very few text doesn't go through. Usually now, AI knows that you read my text, right? With email, it's not as simple. Some of you guys have emailed me something. It's like, Greg, did you receive it? Did you text me? No. When did you send it? Let me check. I never received it. At least it doesn't get to me somehow, you know, or I missed it. Okay. So again, that's where just because you put a stamp on it, a 63-cent stamp, doesn't mean the post office delivers it. Did you guys hear about the postal truck that crashed? Well, your mail might have been in there, right? Okay. So again, there's things go awry all the time. Okay. Remember, if a message is not received, whose fault is it? The sender or receiver? right? It's usually should be the sender, right?
Yes.
Because you got to always confirm that they received it, right? Okay, right? Okay, so all right, questions on getting more referrals or how to make more contacts with your COI. Okay, I'll give you guys more ideas on Friday because once we do open houses tomorrow, right? Uh, because there are things that you do in open houses that we can build on for a good lead follow-up system. So for today, building from yesterday, tpmco.com, set up that account. Okay. Upload your photo, put in your company information, put in your credit card. They're not going to charge it unless you authorize them. Okay. So set that up already. Okay. Number two today, have your database, right? People you met from door knocking, people you know now today, right? Names, address, phone number, email. You got to have that for information. Eventually, you need to get their forward. Get to know their friends and family, their occupation, their recreation, what they do for fun, and then to accomplish. Where do they want to retire? Help them buy a rental property where they want to retire while they're still young or while they have an income, right? While they're still earning or can earn. Start thinking about building wealth for your clients, right?
Great. What was the D for in Ford?
Which one?
D in Ford, the last one. Sorry, missed that.
Dream. Dream.
Doing
Oh, your
Or dream,
dreams.
yeah,
Dreams.
dream.
So friends and
dreams.
family, right?
Sorry.
Occupation. What do they do for work? Are they looking for a better job? Things like that, right? Who do they know at work? Um, and then of course recreation. What did they do for fun, right? What did they do last summer? What are they doing this winter, right? Things like that. Um, you know, hobbies, right? And then dreams. What do they like to accomplish in the future? What do they like when they do? Where are the kids going to college to, right? What are they thinking the kids are going to go to college to, right? Things like that. Some more future based. Now they all revolve around each other, right? But bottom line is like some people say, oh, but recreation and dreams are kind of like the same. Sure, then good. At least you have that, right? Call it whatever you want to call it. Bottom line is
So
four.
Greg,
We give you guys acronyms
you
that's easy
enter
to remember.
you enter,
Prana, I lost you there.
Greg,
Yes.
yeah, I'm driving. I'm driving. I'm talking.
Okay.
I was for giving you the information with
You're in a
the
bad cell area.
new portal that you told me on the
Repeat that again.
hello.
Repeat that again. I lost you there.
I said, do you enter in the database where on the Real Scout or what?
Rev. 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 Okay.
On REV. Okay.
Yeah. So talk to your MIT and you ask them, hey, what's that CRM or database that Greg keeps talking about? Right. So we use
Okay.
Rev or Follow Up Boss. Those are the two CRMs that we have as part of your tech package. I told you guys I use Top Producer. I'm not telling you to do that, but you go to topproducer.com, check it out. And if you like what it does, ask for a free demo. Ask what does this do? Right? How is this different from Follow Up Boss or Rev? They know. They know those competition. It's like, I tell you, oh, go buy your Mercedes. Okay? Go test drive it. It's free. Okay, I'm not telling you to buy one yet. I said test drive it. And then when you're there, compare to the BMW, to Toyota, and see what makes sense for you, right? Because what makes sense for somebody may not make sense for you for different reasons, right? Budget, whatever, right? Ease of use. Like some people like electric. I'm a hybrid fan, right? Because I still like gas, right? So again, but I don't have hybrid. I don't have an electric. So again, it's up to you which ones is going to be best for you. Okay. So any more questions on how to get more referrals or anything what we've talked about today? So tomorrow, your homework, right? We already said tpmco.com. We already said your database today. Tomorrow, Spacio. You got to know Spacio. If you don't know how to use Spacio, right? spac.io. Right? Talk to your MIT. It's part of your best of breed link. It's part of your free tech tool already. Okay? Spacio. You got to know how to use Spacio. Okay? Specifically for open houses, but for everything else. If you're not using Spacio, make sure you know how to use your phone. Because I'll teach you how to get phone numbers from people, how to get their contact info, and then from there, put them into your database for future marketing, right? Because there are people we're going to meet today, and then we're going to see them again 3 to 5 years from now on a different open house or something, and they haven't bought yet, right? So again, just know that there are people who are not ready today that you will meet. Okay, all right. Um, Teresa or Vikas or who's ever wants to stop your. Okay.
So, Greg, one quick question might not be relevant to what we talked today, but what's your take on home actions? I think this was one of the e-newsletter thing which was introduced
Home
a couple of
actions, right?
months.
Yeah. So home actions is new. I have not checked into it yet, but it's home actions is a email newsletter, right? That it's inexpensive, right? It's something that I would recommend you guys look into it. I'll have my opinion probably in a couple weeks once I played around with it. It's something that we released, I believe, last month. So yeah, so check it out. Any specific questions on Vikas about
No,
that?
I was like, okay, TPMC is there, TPMC is there. There are other tools. So,
Yeah.
uh,
So the reason I use tpmco.com because it's still mailer, it's mail. Okay.
okay,
It's most of the things I get from my house are just listed, just sold CMA, market stats. No one is sending a newsletter anymore. That's why I still recommend you guys send out a newsletter because there's 3, 5, 6 things usually in that newsletter. Okay. Because if someone wants to get values, they can just go online, right? The newsletter is to me is more informative. If you check out Insights on Real Estate and also Money Talk, you'll see why I like those two. Okay, check them out, and then see if you like it. Home actions, it's new to me. Alfredo is the one that uses it, and he's brought that to everybody, and we worked out a deal to where it's a pretty good value. It's going to be cheaper than tpmco.com. Now the newsletters that tpmco has, majority of it, I think 3 of them you can email. You can be emailed. Okay, they'll email it for you. So check out how the system works. Okay. Um, but on Friday I'll tell you exactly what I do, and then you can copy what I do. Right. What I'm wanting to do is share different information, and then from there you need to pick out what works for you. Right? Okay.
thank you.
So again, today with your COIs, you got to have them in some sort of place, some place, because like I said, if someone wants to throw your party, you need to be able to get that information. Right. So that's why it's called COI, circle of influence, people you know. Right. And this can be your leads too. Right. Because if let's say I met Varsha, last week at an open house, and I asked her, "Hey, would it be okay if I kept in touch, kind of give you some information from time to time?" Great. What's your phone number? What's your email? Right? I try to get that information, and then remember the next day you send her a thank you card, right? An Intero note card. Okay. And if you don't have the note card, we have some in the office, or you can just order it online or Amazon, right? It's basically it's a little note card that you can put 2 or 3 business cards in there, mail it out. It builds on that previous conversation, right? So, and then from there, you know, I put them in that drip campaign, just like any client. They're getting my monthly newsletter if I have their address. If not, they're getting an email. Okay, you're nurturing them, right? It's a way to nurture. It's like farming, right? They're not ready yet, but you farm to them. It's what I call people farming, right? Your COI is your people farming. These are future business. Okay. As I tell everybody, half the people in my database will probably not do business with me. Those are the leads. But I know my clients, right? If I sold them a house, they're gonna buy and sell again through me. It hasn't happened yet in 35 years that I've lost them to another realtor. That's not their friend, relative, or they actually got their license. Okay. But to a complete stranger, it has not happened yet. Okay. Because I built that trust, that relationship, in years. Okay. Because if you ask them who's your realtor, they know because at least twice a month they're receiving something from me, right? So they can never say, Greg, I couldn't find you. Said, have you tried Google? Right? So again, no one should ever be able to say, Deborah, I forgot you were still in real estate. Or when they see you at a party, Aprana, are you still selling real estate? Uh-uh. Man, it should be, wow, I see you're selling a lot of houses. I see you're busy. That's what you want them to say. All right. How do they know that? Social media, your messaging, right? Things like that. Okay. Because what you're gonna get is like, hey, hey Varsha, how are you? Da da da. They say, oh, and then, by the way, is there anything I could do for you in the real estate from a real estate standpoint? Oh yeah, by the way, I want to help my daughter buy a house. That's gonna be the conversations you're gonna get because you sent them something a couple months ago about getting $7,500 for their down payment slash closing costs because they're not ready today, but they're gonna remember something you sent them, right? But if you just call them about it, right? Don't tell them something you can show them. A picture's worth 1,000, not words, dollars. Okay, okay, that's me. A picture's worth $1,000. Don't tell them something you can show them. Visuals, right? You got to use visuals, physical stuff, right? That's why, Zoom World, as good as it is, there's nothing like the real thing. So people that are live here, right? It's much better, right? You guys remember that from the commercial? It's nothing like the real thing, right? There's a song about that too, right? Okay. Other than that, let me hit the stop